Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I meant this.
and today we are discussing Jesse Eisenberg and his recent opening up about his feelings about the character Lex Luthor and him portraying it. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get on into that discussion. Okay, guys, for most of you who remember from the Batman v Superman, Jesse Eisenberg playing the character Lex Luthor in 2016 has finally opened up and voiced his opinions of his portrayal of the character after the news broke that Jason Momoa was going to be coming from the DCEU, where he played Aquaman, going to be coming to play Lobo in the new DCU. Jesse Eisenberg had some things to say about how he felt the DCEU and what it did to his career. Mantis, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So,
Real quick, let me guys, if his voice starts cutting out, he is sick and he is still bringing us this video, so he's he's being a trooper.
my mic has had its COVID shot, so it's you guys should be fine. Even I don't think it's COVID, but I can still taste and smell, unfortunately. So yeah, but no, Jesse Eisenberg, with I guess he did this interview. Was this a recent interview or was this
So
something?
he had done an interview a little while back ago, and then after the Jason Momoa news resurfaced, he did another one, and they had referenced that previous one of him talking about like
Gotcha.
what it did for his career or lack thereof.
I was gonna say, yeah, he pretty much, I mean, he's quoted as saying, playing Lex hurt his career in a big way. But again, I would, as you pointed out, I don't know if his career was headed in the greatest of directions at the time. It felt like more of a stepping stone, make it or break it role for him in Batman v Superman. And while I think he was kind of behind the eight ball in the sense that everyone was like, okay, it's another Lex. Like, why can't we do something different here? And I think that probably played a little bit into it, as well as the movie itself, not getting a very big reception in the theaters. Although we've argued previously that movie's actually not that bad.
Not that bad.
See, the fact that you have to say they're not that bad means that they are that bad.
I say it's tolerable if you get the extended cut or the director's cut. A lot of information is held out of that movie. And we've talked about this previously in other videos of why that movie lost its way.
The Puppy Who Lost His Way by Chrissy Taylor.
It's kind of interesting. I think I like that aspect of Lex kind of being, the thinker on that part of it, as a super IQ, intelligent of, what does he say, like, to Otis in the first, what does he say to him about
He
his
says,
IQ?
"You know why the number 200 is so vitally descriptive for both you and I? It's your weight, my IQ."
Do you know why the number 200 is so vitally descriptive to both you and me?
What?
It's your weight and my IQ. Now think, people, think!
Gene Hackman's that's hands down favorite, second favorite line in that movie. The other one is, "Lex, my mom lives in Hackensack." Sorry.
Lex, my mother lives in Hackensack.
Had to throw that in there. He brought it up. That's his fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I don't agree with Mantis when I don't think that the movie was tolerable. I think if you could cut out the Doomsday part at the very end, the movie was good. I think you need to see the extended cut because you get to see the Lex that is sending Batman all of these things, and he's moving the puzzle pieces around. My problem is the way that he's portrayed, right? He's portrayed as like this young kid that has Asperger's, that like you're going up against an older Batman and Superman, and he's in the middle there, like he's being babysat by these two. and it just doesn't come across as like what we know to be Lex. Now, you can say it hurt your career all you want to, Jesse, but the reality is you are taking on a role as one of the most iconic villains in comic book history, as far as when we think of Superman being about the most iconic character in comic book history. Lex is one of his core villains. You got like Lex, Darkseid, Doomsday, and Brainiac are his four big ones, right? Mantis is also right. People have Lex fatigue because we're like, another Lex Luthor? Come on, man. Superman has great villains. We want to see them. And then, so there's a lot of things that were working against you. And you have to realize, and I think as an actor, you have to make the decision, is this the right role for me? Am I right for this character? Because the thing is, and we get this by doing this type of a channel, people give you leeway on a lot of things, but when it comes to your diehard comic book fans, they don't give a lot of wiggle room, right? They want to see, their expectation of what Lex is going to be. And some Gen Z, or like I said, Asperger's, kind of like, like sputtering in his sentences and things like that. That's not the Lex they imagine taking on villains like Batman and Superman.
And knowledge is power. And I am no. No, what am I? What was I saying?
So, like, and you got to see the script, right? So you have to, like, say, when you read this, is this part right for me? They want me to act like this. Is this going to be well received? So, like, I think he's got to take some personal responsibility there, that he knew that part probably wasn't right for him, whether he wanted to try to put his own spin on it or not. You don't get as much leeway when you're dealing with comic book characters, especially big time characters like Lex Luthor. Personal opinion.
Yeah, I think it was a career decision for him, right? Like, again, a couple of things that he'd been in besides that, 2 TV shows that he starred in.
Well, he's been in a lot more, but those were the only 2 that actually got higher ratings than the Zack Snyder Justice League. That's his highest movie or film credit, is the Zack Snyder Justice League, other than those 2 one episode TV shows.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like he was he wasn't Henry Cavill. He definitely damn sure wasn't Ben Affleck. And even Gal Gadot at that point.
Suck it, reindeer games.
I'm not Ben Affleck.
You white, then you Ben Affleck, right, Willa?
Yeah, even Gal Gadot at that point had a couple of movies as well as Wonder Woman under her belt. He was kind of the odd man out in that aspect of where. Again, I think if I was him and I'm looking at this role and they offered it to me, I'm like, it's a superhero movie in the DC. I get to play one of the biggest, Superman villains, and it's supposedly going to do well. If he doesn't take that, I think you have to take the role. You have to take the risk, in my opinion. If it was me, I would have. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm nobody.
Nobody!
I'm not an actor or anything like that. I don't know what other stuff he had on the table, because it's not like most of these actors, I'm sure they get multiple roles shown at them, multiple scripts thrown at their way within a period of a couple months, right? And they're sitting on which one they want to do. I have no idea if that's the case for him or not. I'm just saying I'm looking at it from a career perspective. It wasn't a bad move to take the role, in my opinion. Even if he didn't know what he was doing, I think it just, unfortunately for him, he turned out to be wrong for the role. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't fit.
If you're Tom Cruise, you don't need to take that role, right? You can make the decision like, hey, I'm not going to, like, his particular skill set, there's nothing he's going to bring to the role that's going to make up for the fact that he doesn't fit the traditional idea of the character, right? If you're somebody like Jesse Eisenberg, you haven't had a super prolific career. Like, I mean, you aren't in all these blockbusters. A lot of these are like indie films / I know he's in Zombieland and the Now You See Me. Sorry,
love those movies.
Probably hit that, but yeah, but they're not,
they're
like
great.
They're not crazy blockbusters. They're not earning you $1 billion. They're not earning anywhere near what even the Batman v Superman earned, right? So, like, I don't necessarily say it hurt your career. Maybe your portrayal, and it could have been the writing. I'm not saying it wasn't. It could have been the direction. The director's telling you, hey, yes, play this up. and all that. But I think,
Right.
part of what I would say kind of damaged the character as a whole is the fact that, they were under a lot of scrutiny to keep the movies, like even the Justice League and with the Batman v Superman, we got to keep Justice League under 2 hours. So they cut out a lot of stuff. We got to keep
They
Batman v Superman, the theatrical and the regular release. You have to get the extended version to really see the, how were they actually the Lex you wanted to see is in the cut shit, right? You have to have the extended
Mhm.
version to see the real Lex. We get to see this bumbling kid, so I think that also hurt him. But I also think I just don't think like necessarily he was right for the role.
It
There were a
it
lot of
kind of reminds
factors in
me.
at play.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me that the same situation that the 30 Seconds to Mars singer that played the Joker,
The Jared Leto.
Suicide Squad, Jared Leto. Yes. Um. So like he took. I don't know if he had. Actually, I probably should have looked that up. I don't know if he had any acting credits before that. I know everyone. I'm assuming knows that he's lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars that decided to start acting.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Him and his brother are both in that band. His brother plays drums. But in any event, I wonder if this kind of reminds me of that same situation where there's, the deleted scenes in the first Suicide Squad movie made his Joker not seem as bad as what they put on the film. And again, it could be a case where it's, what he did there wasn't, no matter what he did, if he played the Joker fantastic, wasn't going to save that film, right? But I think it could have been the same situation that Jesse Eisenberg was in.
Did not realize Jared Leto is in Fight Club.
Really?
Yeah, he's credited as Angel Face. Don't know who that actually is referring to at the moment, but his career, if I look at his movie career before Suicide Squad and even after, it looks, I would say, comparable to Jesse Eisenberg, right? He was a cameo-ish appearance in Fight Club, nothing super big. And he's done a lot of like more indie-ish looking type of movies. The guys roast me in the comments if you want to. I'm not saying they are because I haven't seen almost everything he's been in listed here, but they're not blockbusters when we're talking Batman style, Superman style, Justice League style movies, right? Or MCU. Okay, that's what I mean. We're comparing in playing these absolutely iconic characters, especially when you're a Jared Leto, when this was before Joaquin Phoenix, so you were the next Joker after Heath Ledger, which were massive shoes to fill.
Here's the thing about DC as well that Marvel doesn't have to fuck with. Okay, with DC, you not only have to get Superman or Batman right, you have to get the Joker or Lex right. You have to get both. With Marvel, you don't have to do that. In some cases, you don't have to get either. You know what I mean? Like, you just get close. But with DC, that's not. It just. And again, we talk about this all the time. I think it's because people are so familiar with the characters that they know when people are fucking up.
Well, and they're so iconic, right? I'm not saying that Marvel doesn't have iconic characters, but when we look at the Avengers, maybe Captain America is probably the most actual iconic one there. But I know everybody loves RDJ. Don't get me wrong. I love RDJ. I love him as Iron Man. But Iron Man was not an iconic character before the MCU where the average person knew who the hell he was. Only your real diehard fans knew of him until the MCU happened. They took a big gamble. It paid off. Whereas, Mantis is right. Yeah, if you fuck up Superman, and he said this on multiple videos, you don't have a Justice League. But Batman is equally as important. If you screw up Batman, you lose out on a lot, because there are a lot of people who really could care less about Superman, as far as that, like he's whatever, he's an alien, that are diehard Batman fans that love the Justice League and the DC for Batman. So if you fuck up Batman, you lose a huge following. And you
like
gotta have their corresponding villains. Hero's only as good as the villain.
Yeah, in DC, I don't know what it is, man. It's like you have to have both in most cases. Again, I think it's the most well-known ones because, like, if you look like Aquaman, like, and I know you didn't really care for Aquaman, the first Aquaman movie, I kind of enjoyed, but the villain there was kind of whatever. Like, it's just it was whatever. You only get Aquaman pretty much correct. But again, with Superman, you have to get Superman right, and you have to get Lex right, or you have to get Doomsday right. You know, with Batman, you have to get Batman right, and you have to get the Joker right. If you don't, people are gonna hate it, and they'll turn on you.
I'm gonna borrow a phrase from my friend Mantis here. Aquaman was meh.
It, in the grand scheme of things, it was. In the DCEU, from the shit they had, it wasn't bad. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I should say. But
For
yes,
those of you not
it was
familiar with the channel, that is Mantis's favorite sound / syllable to say that he knows grinds my gears.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. Fuck you.
Absolutely hate it when he's like, how does it? It was, you know, like it drives me crazy. But that's the best way to explain Aquaman for me.
So, more or less.
More or less, yeah, not bad. So. So I feel like, I don't know, kind of wrapping things up here on this, like the reason all this came about was that he was saying about how he thought it was odd that he feels like the DCEU hurt his career, but then Jason Momoa is pulled from the wreckage of the DCEU and brought over to the DCU, and he doesn't seem to get, like, he's not getting caught in the flack. And what I will say to that is, because I think Aquaman was better than Lex in the DCEU, so Jason Momoa did a better character. I think, because I can speak for me personally on this, is I don't give a shit about that. If you're done with the DCEU, fine. He is going to be a badass Lobo, so everybody's psyched about that, right? Now, if you can bring Eisenberg over to play a character like, to me, Eisenberg, I think, because when you see him with that, maybe you'd be all right, Flash, right? Come over and do something like that. I said all right. I didn't say it'd be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could do a villain still. It would just have to be one, like, if you took the kind of, like you said, he kind of like, it looked like he maybe was on the spectrum. Like, isn't like Toyman or a couple
Toyman.
Like some like real
Toyman would
like
be good.
real like little jittery, like weird people that have weird personalities. Like, I feel like he could play that
Superman, go bye-bye.
pretty well.
He'd actually be a good toy, man. That's a good point. He'd be real good with that. So it's not that, and so there are a lot of people. The people who aren't making it from the DCEU to the DCU are a little. There's been some bitterness and things because they're like, well, how? Why are you? And we did a video on this as well. Like, it's like he's picking and choosing. This comes over, this comes over, and this come over.
Right.
And you're like, okay, but why aren't these people? Why isn't this stuff? Well, you know. Again, with Momoa, to be fair, Aquaman at the time when it released was the DCEU's highest grossing movie, you know? So it was like, okay, it did well, even though I thought it was meh. It did well. So, you know, I know Aquaman too, but to be fair, everybody already knew the DCU was dead at that point, right?
They're dead. All right, can I go now?
We were just like kind of watching that as a, you know, as a whatever, and the whole Amber Heard thing going on.
That was... Yeah, that was shuffling around chairs on the Titanic. You know, that's all that was.
Martha's Palace.
Like, what are you doing?
Titanic. It's all going down. So fuck off with your sofa units and your string green stripe patterns. Sorry, we already mentioned Fight Club. Little reference. But, you know, that's why. So I get, you know, he thinks it hurt his career. I don't think it did based off of the look of his career. But Momoa coming over is because everybody is excited for him to play Lobo. Nobody is thinking Eisenberg for a particular role, at least for me. Let me know down in the comments, or let us know. You know, is there a role you think Eisenberg would be great for in the DCU that maybe they could salvage him and bring him on over and help out his career? Because apparently this was just so detrimental.
And wearing blue shirt. He could play that character.
Unaccredited. That's all it says.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, maybe he was the guy that, you know, like accidentally got knocked over by crypto, you know, or something like. We don't know. But guys, let us know down in the comments how you feel about this. Do you agree? Like, is it like, first off, how do you feel about his portrayal of Lex? Do you think that's what was damaging his career or has damaged his career? And do you think like maybe he should get a shot at coming to the DCU. Like Manta said, you know, the more and more I keep thinking about it, I'm like, fuck, he actually, the way he kind of has that kind of, you know, on the spectrum is, I guess, the best way to see, because now everybody's on the spectrum.
I guess I would say he's anxious, right? Like maybe,
jittery,
like,
anxiety driven / ADHD / another whatever cocktail we can throw in there. Like, he would be a great toy man. But let us know.
Would,
who do you think he could possibly play if he was able to come to the DCE or DCU? And if you have made it with us this far, consider giving the video a like. He is showing you kind of where in that general region, or at least what it'll look like. Subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of our discussions about the DCEU, the DCU, the MCU, the MCEU, whatever's going to happen. Marvel's got to go to their extended. Yeah, all the U's. All the U's.
Or all the CUs. Yeah.
Sure, we'll go with that. Click in the little bell notification so you get alerted when we are releasing new videos. We actually just had one release earlier today. We thank everybody who's gone and watched that, as well as all of our subscribers, both new and old. You guys are the reason we do this channel. And Mantis,
thank you.
Do you have anything else?
No.
All right, before I start Eisenberg, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, we will see you then.
Later.